The gentlelady from California, Ms. Speier.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. You know, I have a fantasy that I'd like to share with you. And it's a fantasy that we would have a new House rule that would require members to wear Pinocchio noses every time they make a statement that isn't true. Because if they had to walk around with Pinocchio noses on, they would be careful about the kinds of statements they make. Now, the statement that's been made by the leadership of both houses in the last 24 hours is that we knew it was true, it's true, the CBO now says it's true, 2 million jobs will be lost as a result of the Affordable Care Act. And that statement is just false. The Washington Post fact checker gave the claim 3 Pinocchio noses, with a headline that read, "No, CBO did not say Obamacare will kill 2 million jobs." The fact checker explains it like this. First, this is not about jobs, it's about workers and the choices they make. He further explains, look at it this way. If someone says that they've decided to leave their job for personal reasons, they just decided they wanted to retire early, we would not put them in the category of having lost their jobs. The New York Times editorial board called this a liberating result of the law. So, in other words, the report is about the choices workers can make when they are no longer tethered to an employer because of their health insurance. And there are so many Americans that stay in jobs just because they have to keep their health insurance. So my question is to you, Professor Jost, please do your best to clear this up. Can you explain how the Affordable Care Act frees individuals and how it does not kill jobs in this country, but has actually the reverse effect?
Like you, I run into people all the time who tell me, I'd love to quit this job, but I can't because I have to be here for health insurance. About 15 years ago, my brother-in-law basically quit his job. He had health insurance through his wife, fortunately, but he went out on his own and started a company that is now a household name that is worth billions of dollars. My wife and her family all were part of that startup. But he was able—
What's the name of it?
Rosetta Stone.
Rosetta Stone.
But he was able to do that because he didn't have to worry about health insurance, or at least he was able to go out there on his own without it. There are many, many Americans like that today who would like to go out and fulfill their dream, but they are stuck in their job because of health insurance. What the Affordable Care Act says, if you are making less than 400% of poverty, which includes a lot of entrepreneurs in this country, you can go out and you can fulfill your dream, or you can just stop working at 60 because you're tired, and you can get health insurance regardless of your health status. That's a very liberating thing, and that's what the CBO recognized yesterday. In fact, they did say there are concerns about employers cutting back on employment, cutting back on hours. That did not figure into their calculation because they said there's just too many unknowns there. There are reasons why employers might expand their workforce. There are reasons they might cut back. But the 2.5 million full-time equivalents is people who are stopping work because of they have the freedom to do so, or reducing their hours.
Let me ask you a further follow-up question on risk corridors. The risk corridors and reinsurance provisions in the ACA are really the same McConnell-Boehner provisions that were included in the Medicare Prescription Drug Improvement and Modernization Act. I know Mr. Badger is shaking his head no, but the truth is there's reinsurance in both programs. And this reinsurance, unlike the reinsurance in the Part D, is one that exists only to 2017, and there really is no federal dollars involved. So my question, Professor Jost, is it's my understanding that the Congressional Budget Office just this week released its revised budget outlook for 2014 to 2024, and it scored the reinsurance program as budget neutral. Is that correct?
It is, because under the statute, only the money can be spent that is brought in under the program.
And isn't it also true that in essence, there's a transfer of funds between insurers, and thus it has no impact on the federal budget?
That's technically correct, yes. I mean, it is a tax that it's imposed on insurers in the group market primarily to subsidize the individual market for 3 years, in part because of these transfers from the group market to the individual market that have already been discussed.
And when we talk about Medicare Part D, wasn't there also reinsurance involved in that program?
Yes, there was.
And how did that work?
Well, there still is reinsurance. In fact, the risk borne by Medicare Part D insurers is very, very small, and up until recently it was very small because it was only up to the point you hit the donut hole. At that point, there was essentially reinsurance from Medicare beneficiaries who covered the full cost up until you got to the catastrophic. When you got to catastrophic, the government picks up 80% of the risk, the insurers only picked up 15%, and the beneficiary picked up 5%.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I see my time has expired.